I wanted to talk to everybody a little bit about the rear axle assemblies that come in our Mopar muscle cars. There are several different axles that can come in one of these cars. If you have the true muscle version, like a Cuda or a Challenger RT or a Coronet RT or a Dodge Charger RT or a Super Bee, you're going to have certain axles. Like, for example, the one I'm looking at right now is what they call the Dana 60. You hear that term a lot, don't you?
Yeah, hear it all the time.
Thanks for your help.
Well, I don't know what you want me to say.
Well,
yes.
you said you wanted to be in a tech tip with me. I'm trying to give you an opportunity to be in a tech
yes
tip.
or no question.
The Dana 60 was basically a 3/4 ton truck rear end. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Chrysler was one of the few companies that had the guts to do things like put a 3/4 ton truck under the rear end of a muscle car. If you just want a quick ID, the first thing you're going to look for is this cover here. All three of these have removable rear covers. The Dana 60 has 10 bolts and a very definitive provision in the cover for the ring gear. It's a 9 3/4 inch ring gear, and it's called the Dana 60. How would you know the difference if you were at a wrecking yard between that Dana 60 and the Dana 60 that went in, say, a Ford truck of the same era?
Pinion snubber. Pinion snubber, basically, you know, when the torque of the car is applied, etc., the springs in the rear end wants to flop up. And all it is a little pad that keeps it from going up too far.
This rubber, under inertia, this housing goes the opposite direction up against the floor of the car. When this hits the floor of the car, it doesn't move anymore, and that increases the traction of the tires. If you didn't have this and the car was high enough in the air, you literally could spin that thing around, rip the drive shaft out of it, and you'd be walking home.
It just basically helps put the power to the pavement.
So at a glance, you're looking for the 10-bolt cover on the back of it. If you want to go further, you can look at this rear end here. This is an 8 1/4 rear end out of our 72 Charger. It does have a sure grip clutch system in it, but you'll notice the number of bolts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, but they're in a completely different pattern than the big Dana 9 3/4 rear end. Also, you'll notice this doesn't have quite the same definitive raised mark in it for the 9 3/4 ring gear. This is the 410 mandatory. You got power disc brakes in the front with a 410 Super Track Pack. When you got power disc brakes in the front, you got 10-inch rear drums versus, even though this is a B body, these are 11-inch drums. This is a 10-inch rear drum, that's an 11-inch rear drum. Depending on the rest of the axle package, that's how you would have got your brakes.
But ARTA did not have a Dana 60, that 8 3/4.
And yes, it had the 8 3/4 dropout style, that is correct.
What was the purpose of that? I know it's better braking, but why did they do that to those cars only?
Better braking.
Thank you.
I don't know what to tell you. The axle in the front, that's the little baby 7 1/4. That's just a silly little thing there. Look at that little thing. I could curl that.
I'd like to see that.
Well, why don't you do it, Alice?
No,
I'd
I'm
like
not
to
the
see
one
you
bragging
do it.
about it. You said you could curl it. Heck, if I was going to
could have
brag about
curled
it, I'd say I
in my
could curl one
prime.
of these, but I can't.
You know what? I blew a rotator. There's also a 9 1/4, which oftentimes gets confused with this rear end right here. It uses 12 bolts that hold it on instead of 10.
Just because you got a Hemi car don't mean you got a Dana.
That's more tire than your car ever had on it when you were a kid, huh?
Yeah. You know, the way to tell
I had
Dana,
those on the back of my Charger, and I could snarl them for half a
tell a
mile
real Dana
until I popped
60s,
them off.
pretty much look at the 10-bolt cover and look for a pinion snubber.
Now, if you want to break it down to that, sure, that's...
Why don't you just say that the simple way? It's got 10 bolts in the rear cover and got a pinion snubber. It's a Dana 60. Instead of going through all the rest of this. Whew. Boy. Right? Am I right?